I turned 60 a few years ago. I stopped dyeing my hair. I designed my own party. I told my husband where I wanted it, how I wanted it, and who I wanted to be there. I got what I wanted. I got a little sassy. It was a good birthday. A few days later, I was thinking about 60, and I thought about my mother, who was 90. Wow, that's 30 years. What am I going to do with another 30 years? And if I live to be as long as my mother, 30 years is a third of my life. Another third. The third third. It was a time of pondering. 30 more years. I don't know why, but I've always wondered what I'm going to be like when I'm old. I remember being in an early morning Bible study with other women my age, all of us very sure we were exceptionally wise and knowledgeable in our 20s. One morning, another woman, younger than me, said, "I can't wait until I'm a wise older woman." I remember thinking, you better start learning wisdom now, because I am pretty sure it's not going to be delivered with your Medicare card. I used to take my little boys to visit at the nursing home because I wanted them to be comfortable around old people. I noticed that in the nursing home, there are two kinds of people. There are the nice ones, and there are the other kind of ones. Over the years, I have noticed that the nice women did not become nice when they moved into assisted living with pockets full of butterscotch candies for little boys. And the other kind of ones, they probably didn't get grumpy or mean overnight either. One thing that I have come to know as a truth is that as we age, we just care less about what other people think of us. And we also, frankly, just have less energy to pretend to be any way. To pretend to be any other way than who we really are at our core. So it matters what we're like in our first third and our second third. Because when we're in our third third, who we really are is just going to sort of seep out of us. Which old woman will I be? It's a big question. I've answered that question for myself by saying that I want grace and truth to seep out of me now and when I'm really old. Now, if I were to get a tattoo, which I'm pretty sure I won't, because I am in my third third and my skin's getting a little stretchy. It would be grace on my left arm and truth on my right. Because I'm always trying to counterbalance grace and truth. It's the way that I'm intentionally designing my third third, learning to balance grace and truth. Truth comes pretty easy for me. I can usually say what I believe to be true. Grace, though, I'm always learning, and often the hard way. I've had some great opportunities for learning grace. It took grace to stay in a marriage to a man who was in a very difficult career environment and who was depressed for most of, the first 35 years of our marriage. It's taken grace for me to learn to be a good mom because I didn't exactly grow up dreaming of being a mother. We have 5 kids. 5. They are now all 5 grown and responsible and in good relationships. Finally. A great source of learning grace for me is our son who has Down syndrome. From Joel, I've learned to fight for him and to love as he loves and to be patient. Sometimes patient with Joel, but more often patient and gracious to people who are unkind. I watched Joel be full of grace. More opportunity to learn grace was when I was diagnosed with cancer, when I was pregnant with our youngest child, only daughter, who has been a delight in every way, and who's sitting right over there. I kind of had to say that, but it is really true, Anne. Not long after that, it took 2.5 years for me to be diagnosed with a neuromuscular disease that had me in a wheelchair part-time for family outings. The women who were close to me during that time, for 2.5 years told me there was probably nothing really wrong with me. I learned to respond to them with grace, but it was hard. When I decided that I would extend grace to our oldest son when he was struggling with addiction, it was the hardest, I think. I knew that I had said enough truth to this son as I drove him to the airport to catch a plane to go to rehab to see if he would fight his addiction to heroin, learned right here on the streets in Champaign. I knew I had to show him grace and love. Truly, I could not have done that if I had not been intentionally learning grace. Learning grace the hard way has just sort of been my life. I learn the hard way for some reason. I don't know why, but I wanted to learn grace, so I stuck it out. Grace, patience, forgiveness, this is part of who I am now and what I'm taking with me into my ThirdThird. Not because I was born this way, but because I know what I want to ooze out of me when I no longer have the energy or care to pretend to be any way other than who I really am at my core. So, I'm almost 5 years into my ThirdThird, and I am having fun. I'm practicing oozing out grace and truth. I'm smiling at the future, even if it lasts for another 30 years.